Okay, so we have reached the part of the program where we have to edit the student's information, and what we have inside of edit is just simply a combo box, right? The name of J combo box and 4 text fields which will hold each student's information. The combo box will hold a drop-down list of all of the students that are in the file. We have an update button for when we have to, after we've changed the student information, to save that change to the file. And we have, of course, the cancel button that will carry us back to the main menu. So in our source code, we start off by going to, we create actually 2 variables within the class itself, and one of those variables is a student array. We created this student array so that we would load up the data that is inside of the file into this student array. So each line of student data that is inside of our file is going to be in a position inside of this student array. We also have this variable x that allows us to keep track of our of the amount of students we have inside of the array. Inside of the constructor for our edit student form, we say that we want to open our file located at C test student, and we of course create a variable array of student names. And what this variable is used for is this variable is used to populate the actual drop-down menu with the student name data that we would have read from the file. We assign the first position in names to please select a student, so that when we run the file, the default option is please select a student, and all of the other names that was read from the file will populate our drop-down menu. So we go ahead to read the file, and remember that this is inside of the edit student constructor method. When we go ahead and read the file, we did like we did in view students. We use our file reader, we set the file name, we say that we want to read from the file, we take that and we put it inside of a buffer reader, and then we say while line is equal to buffer reader, that read line is equal to null, which simply means that as long as there is information inside of the file, we want to first off create a new student variable. Now S is the student variable that we have outside of here, and x minus 1, I wanted to keep on using x because I wanted to relate the names read from the file with the student variables, but the first name is already at position 0. So the name that is inside of the combo box at position 1 would relate to the name that is inside of the student array at position 0. So we start off, because we started off, of course, again with x is equal to 1 up here. So whatever is in, I'll repeat, whatever is in the name at position 0, whatever is in the students at position 0 is going to be inside of the names list at position 1, which will show as the first position in our drop-down menu after the words please select a student. We then go on to tokenize, to create a token and then tokenize the line of text that we just read into the file. Now remember, for our tokenization, essentially what we're doing is busting up this line according to the commas. So what I'm saying is that I'm saying that I will set the number for the student, which is where I have here the first student that I have created in my student array. I set the number for them as 1. I set their name as John Doe. I set the position inside of the names array as a concatenation between 1 and John Doe, and that's why it comes up with only the first 2 elements inside of my combo box list. And then I set the value, which is the third set of data on a line, to my student array, and then I set the data, the student data, to student data inside of my student array. And so this here, when we reach here, for the student array variable at position 0, all of the data has been set. And then X++ sends me 1 forward in preparation to read the next line of text and store it in my student array. So what I've done here is basically 2 things. I've populated an array of names that I will use and assign to my drop-down box, and I've populated a student array with all of the data inside of the file. Again, I just have some catches. So if the file was unable to open, or if there was an error reading the file, I would have an exception thrown. And then at this point, my constructor, remember I'm in the constructor uses init components to actually set these values onto the form when it's built. So actually, before the form is created in the way that it is created, I've actually read the data from the file. And then I say my combo box model is based off of all of those names that I just read. So my combo box model would have been set utilizing init components, which is automatically created code when you actually do your design for your form. And once I say that I'm basing my combo box model or the list that I want on my combo box in names, I set my combo box model to my combo box. And so when I run and I click on edit students, I end up with this lovely list of names here. And what I could do now is click on a name, and that name will be populated inside of my other fields. This part, however, happens when I click on the actual combo box. So I had to create an action listener for my combo box. And my combo box action listener only involves, really and truly, taking the selected index. So when I run it, my default index is at position 0, which says please select a student, which I did here. The name at position 0 is please select a student. And when I click on my box and I change the action, the position, this one is the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the 5th one down, which is at position 4 in my names array, which is Jerry. And Jerry, because he's position 4 here, he will be position 3 in my student array, because the student started reading from John Doe. So this would have taken position 0 in student, position 1, position 2, and position 3 in my student array. But Jerry is position 4 in my names array. And the action listener for Jerry simply says get the index of where I'm at. So position 4 here, and I'm saying take the value that is at position 4 from this list minus 1 from that position. So I'm looking at position 3 in student, and I'm taking the data associated with the num, the name, the val, and the student data, and assigning that to the text field. And that's why when I click on different students, the data is updated. So now the only thing that's left to do is to actually update the data after I change it inside of these boxes. And again, that's an action listener that I have associated with the update button. So when I click on the update button, this time I'm not reading from the file because I have everything that was read from the file. I'm actually writing to the file now. So I have to again take my file writer and I pass that with my file location, and in the views, not the view student, in the add student, we saw that this second value was true, but here the second value is false, which means that I want to overwrite the contents of the file. So I'm writing everything that I just read from the file back because I've changed something in that set of data that I've written. So I've read the file basically into my computer memory, into that student array. And what I'm doing now is I allowed the user to change it via these text boxes. So I can change Paul to Paul's here, and I can change 5678 to 7890. And when I click on update, this piece of code would run, which would allow my data to be written back to the file. So if I open up my student.txt file, I now see Harry Paul's 7890 written there. So let's continue. So again, I use the position that the combo box is in because this is where I have changed the data. And what I'm saying is for the currently selected index, I want to write what is inside of the fields to the file and not what is inside of the rest of that student array that I loaded all of my data up into. So for everything else that is not this current set of information that is being displayed, because this current set of information has changed, I want to write what is being displayed in front of me and what I just edited to the file. Everything else gets written back as it was, how it was written from the file. So the order is maintained, but the data is changed for this particular entry that is my focus. Once I have done that, I close my file line writer and I close my buffered reader. And once I go back to my file, I would see that the data has been changed. So it's not that difficult, and as I said, this code will be made available to you on the Moodle page, right? Please refer when you are making your changes to this code as a guide.